34 races taking place over 2 days of action here. The green flag waves at the end of the pre-grid, as now the drivers make their way on to the circuit. Here is your grid for the first of 3 heats for DD2 Masters. Taking pole position yesterday with a time of 54.421 is Belgium's Christophe Adams. Just 22 thousandths of a second behind is the inaugural DD2 Masters champion from Poland, 46 teams, Sławomir Marański. Then we have Michael Becker in the 526, representing Germany, and Bruno dos Santos from France in the 503 on the outside of row number 2. Tom Dessert from Belgium, representing GKS Lemons Power, and BKS Competitions Rudy Champion, our DD2 Masters Winter Cup winner back at Karting Campillos, will be alongside on row 6. Cole Clibort in the 510 from Belgium will have Germany's Sebastian Humpelhardt alongside in the 509. Then rounding out the top 10, it is Belgium's Thomas Schumacher from Germany in the 531 and Bart Koeman from Belgium in the 516. Rounding out the 14 strong, Tanju Yildiz from FM Racing representing Germany in the 572 will be 11th, ahead of Jonathan de Brouwer, also from PKS Competition representing France in the 521. Germany's Konrad Bayer in the 508 from RS Competition, and Rinaldo Gremiger from KSCA Europe representing Switzerland in the 527, rounding out the 14 strong. The drivers now coming through into turn number 8 on their formation lap. 10 minutes set on the timer. Red lights set to go out at a moment's notice is ignited on the starting gantry. So it will be down to Christophe Adams and Sławomir Marański to control the pace. As now we see the first bit of action for DD2 Masters. They come through into turn number 11. The drivers, you can hear the blips on the throttle that the drivers are doing regarding the engines. And also, they need to get into a tightly packed 2x2 formation ready for lights out. And as always in racing, there are psychological warfares going on behind the scenes, behind the visors, when they are out on track. So, DD2 Masters set to get underway for their first of 3 heats here at Karting Genk. The pace starts to pick up as they accelerate through the tram lines. DD2 Masters is off and they are heading down to turn 1 for the first time. Great start by Michael Becker to get past Sławomir Marański on the start. Bruno dos Santos slotting in behind in 4th position. As there's a little bit of toing and froing towards the back part of the field with the likes of Rinaldo Gremiger, who looks to have gotten past Konrad Bayer. So Bayer down at the bottom part of the order as the leaders now make their way through turn number 7 and 8 for the first time. As there looks to be some changes of position, looks to be between Jonathan de Brouwer, I believe, and Rinaldo Gremiger at the back part of the order, but around about 12th and 13th position. Leaders now coming through out of the left-hander at turn 11. So at the moment, it is Christophe Adams leading the way. Germany's Michael Becker from RS Competition in the 526 rounds out the top 2. Marański, then it'll be Dos Santos. Champion down in 5th place. Sebastian Humpelhardt has deposed Tom Dessert as there's been a great move up the inside. That was down into turn number 2. So there's been a little bit of a change there. I think Rudy Champion might have gotten past Bruno dos Santos for 4th place. Rinaldo Gremiger is now up into 13th position. Bart Koeman has got past Cole Clibort, so that might have been one of the other moves I spotted just a moment ago. So Christophe Adams now will have to start pushing. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race. The first one of the only driver to go sub 57 seconds as Moransky now trying to close on the back bumper of Michael Becker for second position. And he sends it up the inside. Oh, a little bit of a tussle between the pair, and that nearly compromises Bruno dos Santos coming out of turn 12. So Moransky went ultra aggressive through that corner. So as there's more toing and froing, Michael Becker now loses out third place to Rudy Champion as Bruno dos Santos nearly gets collected by Rumpelhart. As, we have someone off onto the two wheels onto the dirt. I think that was Tom Dessert, who looks to be losing positions. So Bart Koolman and I think Carl Klebort might have gotten past. So it is game well and truly on. Tom Dessert now having to fight. But in the meantime, Christophe Adams has started to get away. Moransky in second position, Rudy Champion from France, rounding out the top three at the moment. As now it is a five-way scrap between Moransky, Becker, Champion, Dos Santos and Rumpelhart. This is for second position on the road at the moment. And Christophe Adams, after what is now going to be 3 laps, has a 1.4 second lead over Poland's Sławomir Moransky. Rudy Champion, who managed to win the second final at the Winter Cup back at Karting Campos, and meant that on countback he took the victory when he and Moransky were level on points. They took a win apiece and a second apiece in the 2 finals, but as a result of his last efforts to take the victory at Karting Campos, Rudy Champion now will be competing in the entire season. So the gap between Moransky, Champion and Becker last time around was nigh on just over half a second. Bruno dos Santos still factoring into this, as is Sebastian Rumpelhart. So, Tom Dessert out of the top 10. Down in 11th position as Reynaldo Gremiger gets past Tanju Yildiz from Germany for 12th place. Nearly 1.5 seconds is the gap between Adams and Moransky. Oh, up the inside goes Rumpelhart on Bruno dos Santos, neatly done through turn number 2. And a little bit further back, you've got, I think, Karl Klebort and Thomas Schumacher battling away over what is 8th position with the German just ahead at the minute. So the battle for what is second position is being contested by 5 individuals. So that is from 2nd to 6th position. Then you look back to Bart Koolman, Thomas Schumacher and Karl Klebort. That is the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th as Tom Dessert now gets past Jonathan Cabral from France for P10. And now we'll have to try and make some moves forward, get some good lap times in, because up ahead is Karl Klebort. So Sebastian Rumpelhart is trying to close up on Michael Becker. Christophe Adams now sets the fastest lap of the race once again on lap number 5, which we have just completed, 55.237, and the rest of the top 5 have been running in the 55.3s. But I think I'm just having a look back at the moment, a little bit further down the field, and Karl Klebort trying to try and catch up to Thomas Schumacher with 70 thousandths of a second around about quicker than the German on the last lap. 6 laps completed, 4 minutes and 25 on the clock, plus an additional lap still to go. Gap between Christophe Adams and Sławomir Moransky now has dropped to 1.349 seconds. Tom Dessert puts in the fastest lap of the race on lap number 6, and that is a 55.172. Moransky took out 0.242 of a second out of Christophe Adams last time around. Moransky did a 55.224. Christophe Adams a 55.446. But look at Rudy Champion. He was only 13 thousandths slower than Sławomir Moransky. So whilst Moransky is trying to chase down Christophe Adams, this provides the opportunity, not just for Rudy Champion, who's looking really, really menacing on the back bumper of the 561 from 46 team, as they come out of the final corner. Champion could have a good run. Slavomir Muransky looks over his right shoulder to see where Champion is, and Champion looks to try and possibly go up the inside of turn 2, thinks better of it. Now tries up the inside of turn 3. Oh, that was close. Oh, they nearly interlock wheels. There might be a side pod mark there on the left-hand side of Slavomir Muransky's kart after that one. But now Michael Becker, who was in second position, looking to go up the inside of the Frenchman. Oh, nicely done by the German from RS Competition. Through on the inside of the Frenchman from Piquet's Competition. Through turn 7. And that is for third place. So whilst Muransky and Champion were battling away, Becker was in the ringside seat waiting for something to happen. And Muransky and Champion could have ended up worse off than what they are now. But that means that Sebastian Humpelhardt starts to close. Bruno dos Santos not that far behind. And those two are 9/10 and 1.4 seconds behind as of the last lap. And in the meantime, that gap has closed. It's 1.2. Oh, now, Becker looking menacing. He's closed up, close and personal to Rudy Champion. But in the meantime, Sebastian Humpelhardt has also done the same thing. So the battle for P3 quite clearly not over yet, because Champion has got back past the German. And Rudy Champion in the meantime has been the one that set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 7 of 55.019. But Champion now is having to defend as we head into the last just under 2 minutes of this race, plus an additional lap. So Christophe Adams, last time around, had nearly a 1.5 second advantage over Slavomir Muransky, who's not been able to put a dent into what the Belgian has been able to do from lights out so far in this race. Gap now 1.7 seconds between first and second. Champion nearly having Becker throwing it up the inside of him through into turn 2. But Becker holds back, waits for the opportunity. Humpelhardt is also doing the same thing. You can kind of tell that when they're driving in a particular manner, they're going to wait for the last minute. They're not going to, then every driver will not give all of their tips and tricks of how they work away to anybody else. And especially when you are in karting, because that, in many respects, is one of the purest forms of racing, in my honest opinion. And how close you can get in terms of making an overtake can be literally fractions of centimetres, if you're lucky. But now we have just 44 seconds on the clock remaining, so Christophe Adams goes on to the penultimate lap of the race. Muransky 1.666 seconds behind, and he's just put in a 55.158, but Christophe Adams has got the fastest lap of this race in the bag at the minute, a 54.921 for the Belgian. And that was on lap number 9 of this race. So Adams comes through turn 7. Now does Muransky. Now Champion, Becker, Humpelhardt, Dos Santos. Tom Dessert is closing on Bart Koeman for 7th position. A great recovery drive from the GKS Lemons Power driver in the 567. As now, the timer has expired. It's going to go on to the final lap that will take us through into the lunch break here at Karting Genk. So Christophe Adams looks over his right shoulder to see where Slavomir Muransky was, and that's the most casual look over the right shoulder I think I've ever seen. As it's nearly 1.7 seconds between Muransky in second and Adams in first place. But keep an eye on the battle between Michael Becker and Sebastian Humpelhardt. These two are teammates at RS Competition. Champion looking menacing. He could try and close, but he's fast running out of time if he wants to get the upper hand on Slavomir Muransky for P2. Leader now coming into turn 9 for the final time. A little bit further down the order, Thomas Schumacher been battling away with Carl Clervaux for 9th and 10th place respectively. Konrad Bayer in the meantime has made up 2 places, having started down in 13th. He's up to P12 past Ronaldo Kremiger and Tanu Yildiz, but the winner going into the lunch break here in DD2 Masters, it is Christophe Adams in the 555 from Belgium by an absolute country mile, ahead of Slavomir Muransky by nearly 1.9 seconds. Rudy Champion, the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge Winter Cup winner, takes P3. Michael Becker hangs on just by 0.128 seconds ahead of teammate from RS Competition, also representing Germany, Sebastian Humpelhardt. Bruno dos Santos rounds out the top 6. The top 5 altogether were covered by just 2.920 seconds. But that's a good way to start things off if your name is Christophe Adams from Belgium in the 555. Moransky 2nd, Champion 3rd. Becker and Humpelhardt round out the top 5. Bruno dos Santos in 6th ahead of Thomas Schumacher from Germany in the 531. Carl Clairvaux takes 8th place ahead of Jonathan Debrouw from France. Konrad Bayer takes 10th place at the end of it all with Reynaldo Kremiger. Tom Dessert ending up in 12th position at the end of it all. Looks to have had a very, very difficult lap on the final lap of the race. He takes P12. Tanu Yildiz takes P13, and Bart Koolman, unfortunately, was declared a retirement on the 11th lap of this race.